everybody? Welcome back to the Kevin's Podcast. I've been on the net for a little bit, had some stuff going on, but I'm back. I'm rejuvenated, giving praise to God, for allowing me to be back here, to get back into the podcast, something I love. As always, I have to start out with this statement. Anything I say on my podcast is for entertainment only or my personal opinion about something. In no fashion or form am I a financial advisor, a marriage counselor, or any kind of a counselor of any type. So again, this is just primarily for entertainment purposes. And again, it's most things on my personal opinion, on my experience. Nothing I say is relevant to anyone necessarily in my life, but it's been relevant to people I've talked to in my personal experience. With that said, man, welcome to the Kevin's Podcast. I'm so happy to be back. I'm glad that my girl T done came through and ready to shoot some podcasts for me. I got some new material that's coming out soon. I got some, as you can see in the podcast, I got my shirt, I got my apron up here, I got some shoes coming out, KV sneakers gonna be coming out, polo shirt, so stay tuned to that. And with that said, I'm ready to get into some hot topics. These next couple of series, I'm gonna be touching on a range of things, really kind of dealing with relationship, how things affect men, because the podcast is really for men, but it includes women too, so you're not exempt from this, because this information I'll be talking about, or topics I'll be talking about, it affects everyday people, no matter what your race is, creed, religion, or anything. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just an open flow of information or opinions or minds and experience of me talking to people. Being I have a podcast, I do talk to a lot of people. I'm not quite sure why it is, but people feel comfortable opening up to me, just talking to me, sharing their experience with me, and I grasp all the information and I just suck it in and I just, apply it to my podcast along with my own personal experiences in life. And Lord knows I got something for you. But I want to get started today. I want to kind of talk about, I was watching TikTok, and let me give you some context about what I'm going to talk about. I was watching TikTok the other night. I was laying in bed and I watched TikTok, and there's this lady on there that I follow. And she was talking about how, society talks about a woman's hurt when she's cheated on, when she goes through a divorce, and she goes through trials and tribulation in a relationship. It's focused on the women hurt, and there's a lot of books written about a woman, her hurt, her tribulation, whether it's marriages, whether it's just relationships, being a single mom and trying to date in today's society, and all these different topics and books and articles and TikToks and social media, Instagram is focused on a woman's hurt. But let's take for a moment what a man goes through. And it don't matter what race you is, a man across the board, no matter what kind of background they go through hurt too. So I want you to think about it for a minute, what I'm saying here to you. Growing up, and I'm speaking from my personal experience here, growing up, my father was not active in my life, okay? I had uncles and cousins, which we was raised like brothers. I didn't have a real strong male role model in my life. I had my mom, my grandma, and them, they raised me. I think they did a pretty good job of raising me, but I didn't really have a strong male figure in my life. So in a way, that kind of shaped me in some ways. Some men, like me, didn't have a father in their life. That could be a good and bad thing as you grow older and have kids in your own. Some men follow in their footsteps and not be in their children's life. Others, it repels them, like myself, to be a part of their children's life, through thick and thin, and be there for them no matter what I have to do for my kids. But when I say that, our background, growing up has a tremendous effect on how we deal with relationships, okay? And take me for example. Again, I didn't have a father figure. I had my mother who raised me, pretty much my aunts, grandmama and them. So they taught me, you heard me say this before if you're watching my podcast, they grew me into what they think a man should be, their idea. And that's great. There's nothing wrong with getting a woman's perspective of what she like, okay? But there's a lot of things a woman can't teach you about being a man. And we as men, we deal with things differently. We internalize a lot of things. We quiet when we're dealing with a lot of things. Most men are very quiet. I'm quiet. When I'm bothered by something and I'm going through something, I just kind of get quiet, real quiet to myself. You can tell something bothers me by my action. Other men, some men may be vocal, some men may speak out about it. But I think that generally across the board, and I've talked to a lot of men, whether white, black, Hispanic, doesn't matter again, their race, I found that a lot of men, just like me, are very quiet. They're just quiet. They just, unless you really push them to talk, they're not going to talk about it. Or it may be a couple of days later, they come back to the subject. There's something that bothers me. But most times, we kind of deal with it. And I think a lot of it's the reason why is because of our upbringing. Because I can remember my mom telling me, boys don't cry, we suck it up. I've heard my uncle, the ones that was active in my life, say, hey, you gotta suck it up, you gotta be tough, you don't be no crybaby. And so I think, in my personal opinion, a lot of men can relate to this. So we are taught to, hey, I'm macho, I don't cry, I suck it up. And I'm gonna tell you, my mom used to beat me. Lord have mercy. I used to get some terrible whoopings when I was growing up. I used to get 3 whoopings for one day. Cause my grandma beat me, whoever caught me doing it beat me, and then my mama down on what she beat me on top of. So I used to get 3 whoopings for the same thing. And I can remember my mom telling me, suck it up, I don't hear another tear out of you. And you like, and you trying not to cry, and she done beat the brakes off you. Yes, ma'am. So, but what people don't realize, that stays in us, okay? That really stays within us. And we suppress it, but it's still there. So when we go through things in a relationship, that internal thing that we have been taught from a young boy, it stays with us. And you taught that, hey, me and my old lady's going through something, I'm mad, and you might want to cry. You might be that mad, and not you crying because you're a punk or you weak, whatever word that you want to use, but you just that mad. Because when I cry, I'm really mad. It don't mean that I'm crying to be weak or nothing. That means I'm about to go to you. I'm about to do something to you. When I start crying, you better be ready to put your hands up and do something, because I'm going to you. But with saying that, we taught that we should cry, we should hold it in. You know what I'm saying? So we not vulnerable to our women. We, you know what I'm saying, we have to put on this persona. We tough and we macho. Some men, and I've learned with old age, I'm going to turn 48, and God let me see the 17th of November. And I've been through some things in life, just like many of y'all out here that listen to my podcast. And when I'm with a good woman in my past, I've let my guard down very few times in my life and let another woman see me cry, one that I'm in a relationship with. I cried a lot when I lost my child. That was one of the hardest times in my life. I lost 2 sons, and me and my wife, we lost two children. We had triplets and we lost 2. So that's been one of the hardest times, and I've cried when I lost loved ones. But outside of that, personally, myself, I haven't cried a lot. Unless I'm that mad with you, and I'm ready to go to you, then I cry. But we as men, we got to get past that. You got to learn to let your guard down. And I'm not saying you let your guard down with just anybody. This is somebody that you got to be able to trust with your inner self. It's not something that's just given to anybody. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't cry in front of anybody or let your guard down or let people into your inner self, because it's a topic a lot of people don't talk about. But some men, they don't want to talk about it. It was abused as a child. And it's still with them to this day. But they have suppressed it because society has told them, you got to be strong. You got to, whatever happened to you, you got to be able to push past that. You know what I'm saying? So being in the military as many years that I was in, you kind of learn that too in the military culture. You got to suck it up. You know, hey, we got to get this job done. We got this mission. Ain't no time to be whining, complaining. It's time to get this mission done. You can cry, you can whine later on. As we used to say, is you can complain about the mission or the job or the task after, but get it done first, and then be able to come back and talk about that. But I got my co-host here. She ready to ask me some questions, and I'm ready to tell them to shoot them at me, because I'm ready to give the audience what they need to know.
Yes, sir. Why you think no one talks about when a man get hurt, or how a man get hurt?
I'm gonna try to answer that in kind of a 2-part question. Again, as I said earlier, I think society has a big influence on why men don't share his hurt, because it's looked upon as you being weak, and that shouldn't be. You should be able to, because if a woman breaks down and cry, a woman is emotional, it's expected of her, but it's not expected of a man. And that's just society has trained us, including myself. And I can speak for myself. I'll be the first to speak about careless. I've been like that a long time, and it's hurt me in some of my relationship, because I wasn't able to express myself I held it in, I internalized, and I said, okay, I got to get through this. And I let what was bothering me in the relationship fester and keep going to a point that I got to a point that I was just tired. And then I kind of let myself express myself. But you should be at any time that you're dealing with something in life as a man, no matter your color, no matter your religious background, you should better express yourself. You should let someone know, your partner, whoever, let them know that something's bothering you. You walk around and hold this in and all it's doing is tearing you up. It's hurting you worse than the person that did it to you because you're the one that's internalizing it. And just, it's a stigma. It is. It's a stigma. It's just, and I'll put this in here. It's a stigma like mental health. When it comes to mental health, especially in my community, in the African American community, and I would say across maybe many other cultures, many people don't want to talk about mental health and issues, trauma they've been through, because it was looked upon as you being weak. It's looked upon as we don't talk about those. We just kind of bury those under the rug and we just move on. Just move past this. You got to get past this. I know that I've said to people in my relationship, I felt like, and I think a lot of men can relate to this, why you still mad? You know, I don't apologize, I done got you flowers, move on, let's move past this. And just like for a woman, and many women have told me this, like, you can't rush me getting over something that hurt me. It's like telling someone that lost somebody, well, you know, that's just your grandmama. You had 2 weeks to mourn they lost to. Deal with the loss of someone you love. You know, you got 2 weeks, you got a month. Nobody can put a timetable on when you lose someone. So nobody should ever put a timetable on when someone should be able to move past a hurt or even come back and express that something hurt them. And I know I'm at fault of it. Again, I'll say it here, and you hear me say it on my own lips. Most men, we want you to get up. We done got you flowers. We done bought you this. We done tell you sorry. We say we ain't gonna do it no more. Hey, let's move past this so we can get back to what it was before the hurt happened. And a lot of times, women, they're not ready to move past that hurt. They are still, whatever we have done to them, it still hurt them, and it's hurt them deeply. But we as men, we want you to get past it. And so it shouldn't be expected if a woman hurt a man, they should be just moved past quickly either. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay, sir. So the next question I would have for you is, when a man is hurt, how do you all sometimes express yourself? Because all expression isn't bad. See, people keep thinking that when men are hurt, they become evil and all of that. And that's not true. That's not true.
Well, I think one way men deal with it, and I'll talk about myself as always on Kelvin's podcast, is I'm withdrawing. I get quiet. I don't say anything. I walk right past you, don't say nothing to you. I come home, I do whatever I need to do, and I don't say anything to you. Just me, I just get quiet. And I think from just, again, talking to men of different races over the years, being in the military and thinking back, a lot of men, that's what we do. We just get quiet, we just kind of shut down, and we don't express ourselves. Again, we internalize a lot of things, and we go over in our head, we play it over in our head and try to figure it and talk to ourselves. I mean, many people don't want to admit, but I talk to myself when I'm going through something. I just kind of sit in the car and I kind of try to talk it out. Or, I have a counselor. I talk to my counselor. You know what I'm saying? It took me a long time to get to that point to where I could talk to somebody outside of myself or my closest friends about things I go through. But I've learned, I was dealing with some post-traumatic stress issues, and through that and some other issues, even through marriage counseling, I would talk it out one-on-one with a counselor. You know what I'm saying? So, in a nutshell, I think mostly to really answer your question, I think men just become withdrawn when they hurt. I think they just withdraw from society. They kind of shut down and just try to internalize it. As they move past it in their own way of time, they come back out of that shell. It's kind of like a turtle. When he thinks danger, he draws himself inside the shell as protection, and we draw ourselves back in ourselves for protection when we hurt.
Okay. So let me ask this question, because it's not too many things that can really hurt a man. But as a woman, we know that when we don't allow you to see your kids, your children, we know that is the ultimate hurt. Can you expound on that for me?
Well, I'll say this. It's going to depend on, going back to an earlier statement, it depends on the man. And I don't mean this in a negative way. And like myself, I grew up without a father, my biological father. Did I know my father? Yeah, I did. You got to spend some time with my father when I was young. And for many years, I had no contact with my father. And he died in 1997, if I'm not mistaken, a massive heart attack in Queens, New York. And so some men don't have a problem not seeing their child because that's what they know. You're a product of your environment if you allow it. Again, I say if you allow it. Listen to me carefully. If you allow your environment to dictate how, if you got kids, what you should be in your kid's life, that's the wrong answer, in my personal opinion. But for someone that love their kids like I love my kids, and for someone to, I don't have that problem, but for someone to not to allow you to see your children and use your children as a pawn, that's a hard thing for a man to deal with. And I don't mean that to be degrading to anybody that listens to my podcast and say you're not a real man, but this is my personal opinion, and it's not going to change for anybody. I'm not going to be apologetic for what I'm saying now. If you got kids and you're not a part of your kid's life, you need to reevaluate yourself. Because money is good. It takes money to raise children. Don't get me wrong. But time you can't get back. We go to work every day for a salary, for an hourly wage or salary, which boils down to an hourly wage regardless whether you're salary or you're hourly. And they give you a check either 2 weeks, every month, or whatever the case may be. But when you give that 10 hours, 12 hours time to a job, you can't go back and say, I want that time back. So you can't go back in time when your kids get grown and now you're down and sick, and you get to a point in your life and you're like, oh man, I should have been a part of my kids' life when they was little. It's never too late to build a relationship with your kids, no matter what your age is, no matter what your status is. But for you not to be a part of your child's life, to me, is the wrong answer. No matter what the relationship between you and the mother is. Now, some mothers out here use the children as a pawn because they want the man, and they can't have the man, and they use that as a pawn. And that's the wrong answer. So women, you listen to my podcast, that's the wrong answer. Because there's so many women out here that wish, and Lord knows I have seen my fair share of those in my years of dating. Honestly, I can only maybe count 3 relationships that I've been in all the years I've been out here in this world and dating, or at least thought I was dating, or whatever the case may be, that their fathers was actively in their life. Most women I dealt with kids did not have their father, so I felt the need, because my mother raised me, to carry out that. My mama raised me, if you're going to be in a woman's life and she got kids, and you can't accept her kids, then you don't need to accept her. You need to leave her alone. So I lived by that value when I was out dating, and I dated women with kids. I treated those kids as they're my own. I spent time with them. I didn't miss no football game, basketball, whatever they were doing, I was there for them. And the same thing in my marriage. My 2 older kids is not mine biological, but you would never hear me say step kids. You would never hear me say that I'm only do for my kids, I'm not gonna do for them. Because when I got with their mother and I married their mother, I sit down and I told them, I take y'all as my kids, and I'm gonna be the best father I can be. Now, there's no perfect book on being a father or a mother. Okay, you can do the very best you can. We're gonna make some mistakes along the way. But again, I can't stress the point enough. Key 2 points is, if you have kids, be a part of their life. Do everything you can to be a part of their life. Spend as much time. Take them to the park. Just talk to them. Help them with their homework. The Lord knows my son KJ he's in 5th grade, and I don't like that new math they do. I've been irritated with it. I can't stand it, because I learned how to do math the old way. I don't like new math, period. I don't like it. It's not that I'm dumb. I got a degree. I got 2 of them. But I don't like that new math. It don't make sense to me to draw no boxes and all that when I can just simply add, bring down, subtract, and get the same thing. You put it in this box and then you put the number. I can't stand it. But I do homework with my kids. I don't miss any of my middle boy Nathaniel played the trumpet in the 7th, 8th grade, and I ain't missed any of his recital. But to wrap it up, be a part of your kids' life, whatever it takes. If you gotta go through the court system, go through the court system. Again, if you're a mother out there and you're keeping your kids away from their father, that's the wrong answer, because the kids need their father. That's all I gotta say about that.